How's it going, backpackers? My name is Dave and this channel is called Off Grid, and on this channel I like to talk about all things backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. So thanks again for stopping by. Today I am going to go over what I'm going to pack from a food perspective in one of my upcoming trips. So I got a trip coming up real soon, and I figure that this would be a great opportunity to kind of take a re-look into my food and see if I can do a couple of different experiments. So this trip I'm going to be doing one experiment with my food, which is the old adage of calories in, calories out really going to make that much of a difference? So I'm basically going to attack this trip with the idea that I want to keep calories in mind. And the reason why I say that is because I follow more of the low carb and keto eating style. I'm definitely not keto. I think it's hard to maintain ketosis, but I tend to be a little bit more low carb. So on this trip, I really want to look at just calories themselves to see if that's a good biomarker and see how I feel when I'm out there in the field. So when looking at some of my previous day hikes and trips, I'm basically in that somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 calories burned over a course of anywhere from like 6 to 10 miles. Again, those are averages. They're not necessarily set in stone. There's a lot of different factors that kind of go into it. But in tracking on my watch here, it's basically telling me that I'm somewhere in that range of total calories burned. Now, if you stack that on top of what the standard American diet basically says, which is you should have at least 2,000 calories a day, I'm going to basically be focusing on, if you add those two up, it equals just about 3,000 calories. So that's what I'm going to use as my metric for this trip. I'm basically going to say, like, I'm planning on doing somewhere around that 6 to 10 mile range a day, and I'm going to budget somewhere around 3,000 calories. So with all that in mind, I'm going to be throwing some numbers at you guys today, especially if you were thinking about going low carb when you're in the backcountry and when you're out backpacking. This might hopefully give you some greater insights into some of the options that you have available to you. So I'm going to rifle down through this list here and not spend a ton of time on any one of these particular things because I don't want the video to go on way too long. But let's just dive right into it here. And the first one I'm going to cover is going to be the meals that I plan on bringing out there. And the biggest one that I'm going to try out for the very first time is going to be this guy right here. This is Next Mile Meals, and they have a lot of great options to choose from. This is one of their breakfasts. This is the sausage scramble. And then I have another one here, which is the Italian style beef marinara. They range from anywhere from 400 to 500 calories a piece, and the carbs are somewhere around anywhere from like 6 to 10, depending on which one you're choosing. And to just give you a quick comparison to the tried and true and kind of horrible option here, this is a Mountain House that I have a few leftovers here. The net weight on this is a little bit more, but I think the range is somewhere around the same net weight. But if you look at the size, side by side, and even like you can put it like on top of each other here, you can see that Next Mile Meals is just a little bit more compact and not as tall and cumbersome as far as like volume goes in your pack. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying those out. I've heard some really great things there. The next thing that I want to mention here is going to be the High Key breakfast biscuits. There's a lot that I actually don't have here in front of me. I have to do a bunch of shopping before I head out there. But the High Key breakfast biscuits are not the best option in my opinion flavor-wise, but they definitely fit the bill for the backcountry and they work really well for that. Each biscuit or bar, it's kind of like this rounded mound of a bar, is about 200 calories and it comes in at about 2 net carbs. The next item I want to talk about, I got right over here to have this one in. And this is Magic Spoon. If you guys haven't heard of Magic Spoon cereal yet, it's basically just like a really healthy kid-like cereal. It's like a cereal for adults, but kids would probably like it too. It kind of reminds you of like some of the cereals that you grew up with as a kid. And let's see, what are the stats on this guy? We've got 140 to 170 calories for a cup, and then around 4 net carbs for each one of these. And again, they kind of fluctuate anywhere from like 4 to 5 net carbs that I've seen. So a cup is pretty decent. You might be wondering like, how are you gonna eat this? Just kind of like by itself, and and, you know, with nothing in it. No, actually you can, a lot of the, I kind of broke down the science of like what some of these people use in their packaging. So for some of the granolas that they have in the morning, I noticed that you don't have to use boiling water for it. You can just put cold water into it. So basically what they're using is powdered milk in there. So that's what I'm going to try to replicate. So you can bring out a powdered milk and just add water to it, and that can mimic sort of like a whole milk when you're out there. So that's what I'll probably try out in the field, and hopefully that works out pretty well. Another one that I can mention real quick here, sort of going in that vein of like trying to use like a morning cereal style of breakfast, is a company called Trail Keto Granola. So they have a great granola. They have a few different types of flavor options. I'm sticking with the chocolate kind here. And we've got 3 net carbs, about 190 calories for 1/3 of a cup. So if you're comparing that to the Magic Spoon, you're definitely getting more bang for your buck here. You can easily double this up, get about, 380 calories for 2/3 of a cup. And that's still less than a cup for the Magic Spoon. So you're definitely getting a lot more calories. And like I said, bang for your buck there. All right, so that's going to do it pretty much for the dinners and breakfasts. Let's get over into the drinks right now. Not much to say about it. Let me just open up my package here from my kit, which isn't finalized yet, but I got a lot of great stuff in here that I can show you guys. So I plan on bringing just like some teas. I got like a Twinings English breakfast here. I've got just a hot cocoa packet that I just put my own, Hershey's cocoa powder into, and then I mix in a bunch of these guys here, which are just like Truvia packets. Which is basically just a erythritol and stevia blend, and not a lot of calories there, just kind of like having different drink options. One of the ones that I can talk about, which I've touted before, is the Ultima drink packets. See if it kind of picks it up on camera. There you go. These are really good. I don't think they have really any no calories in this. These are really just for your electrolytes and to just kind of replenish when you're on trail. Nothing really there. Another one that I want to talk about is going to be this guy right here, which is, I got the top kind of like ripped off the top here, but this is a Stir liquid. Again, this is just kind of like a water enhancer. There's no calories in this. It's just kind of like, instead of downing a bunch of like flavorless water, just mixing it up and having something different there. So no stats on any of those. The one that I do want to throw in here, because I do think that you should have some sort of low carb or keto option, but also have some calories in there as well. I'm going to throw in one here that I haven't tried yet, but I'm going to purchase it and try it out on this trip. And it's called a Keto Collagen Mix. And I forget what the name of the company is. I'll throw it up on screen for you guys to look at. But basically, if you've ever heard of the manufacturer called Tailwind, it's basically just a bunch of sugars, but they have calories in there as well. I'm trying to mimic that with more of like a sugarless style of low carb option. So for 2 scoops, which you can add to about a pint of water or 2 cups, you're going to get about 160 calories and roughly 2 carbs. So ultra low carb there, but you're getting in some calories just by drinking, which I think is another easy way to up your calorie count throughout the day. Let's get all these to the side here, and let's keep it moving here for my lunches now. I'm planning on doing cold lunches for the majority of them. I think I'm going to bring in a couple extra next mile meals to possibly have as an option, but I think I'm gonna want to not head out and have my whole cook kit out there and bust it out when I'm doing the miles throughout the day. I want to be a little bit more nimble and be able to quickly just eat, or even eat on the go. So I'm thinking of doing mostly cold lunches, and here are some options for you guys. You probably have already heard of the almond butter and the peanut butter spreads or packets. I got a couple options here to show you. One is by Justin's. This is a honey peanut butter, and that's a great option. We also have an RX nut butter here. This is a chocolate peanut butter as well. These tend to be slightly a little bit higher depending on which one you kind of get, anywhere from like 5 to 8 net carbs for one of these guys here. Another one I want to throw in here and throw up on screen is going to be the brand name of Legendary, and they have either peanut butter or almond butter mixes, same type of deal. They sell them in individual packets, or you can buy them in the jars if you wanted to have one at home. But we're talking about here for the legendary stuff, 140 to 180 calories and anywhere from about 3 to 4 net carbs per packet. Here I'm looking at these, the Justins, and we've got 210 calories here. The RX one over here is 180, and you're getting, like I said, anywhere from 5 to 8 net carbs for these guys. So great options there. Another one I want to talk about real quick is going to be some sort of jelly, so you can have kind of like a peanut butter and jelly when you're out on the trail. And this one is really tough, guys. I haven't been able to find any options lately for this in the low carb space that's also convenient from a packet perspective. So that's kind of hard. They're selling a lot more like jars, but not necessarily individual packets that you can bring out with you. One that I did find that's not really low carb is called Spread the Lights. You have 60 calories and 15 net carbs for each, serving size packet. So that's not really falling into the category of what I wanted it to. Another option that you can go with is more of a dirty keto option. Smucker's has their little tub packets that you can go with, and they're about 10 calories and 3 net carbs, but you're going to introduce stuff like sucralose and artificial dyes, which that's what falls into the realm of dirty keto. So I'm not really sure quite yet what I'm going to end up going with here. I don't really like the higher carb count of the Spread the Lights, but the Smucker's is also dirty keto, so I don't really know what I'm going to go with there. Each one of them is not particularly insanely high on the caloric range either, so it's really just kind of like adding additional flavor there. So stay tuned for my trip video on this one to see which one I ended up choosing. And what are you going to end up putting all that stuff in? You got the peanut butter, you got the jelly, you got the different spreads. Well, an option for you that I have is and I've mentioned these guys before in my other low-carb food options on the trail. If you haven't checked that one out, check that one out. But it's called Maria and Ricardo's Almond Flour Tortillas. And for 2 of the tortillas, you've got 150 calories and 8 net carbs. So you might have heard of a lot of different backpackers using tortillas when they're out there to spread some stuff on or put some stuff in it. And this is just a great low-carb option for you to take out there. I can't 100% vouch for it because I did read that you should refrigerate them after you open them up. I have tried them. They're great, but I've also had them in the fridge, so I really don't know how well they're going to hold up after days on the trail, but I'm going to test it out for you guys. So if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing down below, and you'll find out if that worked out for me or not on my trip. The next one that I want to talk about here is going to be this guy right here. We've got the Star-Kissed Tuna Creations. They also make the Chicken Creations here. They're great for a protein option, not super high on the caloric scale again, but we've got anywhere from 70 to 90 calories per packet, and then only 1 net carb for this one. I think the chicken might be a little bit higher on the overall net carbs, but there's not a lot in here. It's kind of a thin packet here, so you can easily double this up. One of the things I would recommend here, it would be the different sauces that you can put on this. So if you hit up Amazon or a local grocery store, you might be able to find Tabasco packets. I'm kind of privy to the Chipotle style or just the regular or the green style Tabasco. I would also recommend for some of these putting in some sort of mayo, so bring some mayo packets because they tend to be a little bit dry. So you definitely want to have your spice game on point as well, like salt, pepper, creamer, anything like that. Like you want to have all those available to really spice things up because a lot of these backpacker meals can be a little bit bland. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is not a super low carb option, but I've talked about this one before as well, and I really like it. It's called Pitos. It's got 130 calories and about 9 net carbs for 1 ounce, which is basically those smaller, like individual size packets that you're used to, like when you were a kid. You just kind of like the grab and go to go kind of packets. All right, that's it for the lunch options. Now we're gonna head over to the last category that I have for you guys today, and that is in the realm of snacks. And I really don't have that much at all to show you, but again, what I'm gonna recommend here is going to be the legendary packets, because they have a couple of different options that have chocolate in them. So chocolate's not really that great for the trail, but if you have it in sort of like a spread or prepackaged style, then you can kind of get that chocolate fix in there. And again, similar in the calories and net carbs. Another one I want to talk about, I have the box here. I have some bars, but I don't know where they ended up. Oh, I do know where they ended up, but they're not on screen. We've got the Monk Pack Keto Granola Bars. I really enjoy these, really dig them. They're not that big. We only got about 2 net carbs and about 140 calories. This is the maple pecan, but they have a lot of different options that you can choose from. Another one I want to talk about is going to be the pistachios, obviously the shelled variety. You got 170 calories for about a quarter cup, and then about 4 net carbs there. Again, they have a few different varieties, so the numbers are going to be fluctuating a little bit there depending on which one you go with. Another one I want to throw in here that I mentioned before also is Duke's Shorty sausages, and for 2 links you've got 130 calories and less than 1 net carb, so that's a really good way to up the caloric count and then also keep the net carbs super low. Another one I want to mention here is sort of going back to the Magic Spoon stuff, so we'll bring this one back up real quick. Not sponsored. But there is an option to make a cereal bar. I plan on making a bunch for the group that I'm going with and then just doling those out. But basically you just take a box of this, and then there's a company called Mallow Me that you can use. It's a keto friendly marshmallow. You just melt that, throw this in on top of it, and then press it down and make some bars out of it. That I'm probably going to use again as a snack on the go when I'm on trail. And there's not a lot there. You got 85 calories right about, and then about 5 net carbs for one of those squares, depending on how big you make the squares, right? The second to last one I'm going to mention here is going to be Birch Bender, and they now make cookies. They're actually not that bad. There's a bunch of other cookies that I had mentioned in my last video, but this one didn't make it in. I think it's fairly new to the marketplace. You've got 1 net carb for 2 cookies and 120 calories. That's for their double chocolate variety. In case you haven't already noticed, I love chocolate, so anytime I can fit that in, I'm definitely going to go with that. So I think the other 2 varieties that they have are a little bit higher in their net carbs, but you can easily, again, double this one up here and get 240 calories for about 4 cookies. And they're small cookies. They're not tiny like the high key mini cookies, but they're a little bit smaller, so it's quite easy to eat a bunch of them. And the last one I want to mention isn't really great from a caloric standpoint, but just to kind of mix things up here, and let's get the cereal out of the way. And it's going to be by the maker called Zolly Pops. And again, I'm not affiliated with any of these products here today, folks, but for the Zolly Pops, I really enjoy them. I think they've got a great flavor to them. You got 1 net carb for 2 of the pops, but it's only 25 calories. Nothing really there. It's just something to just kind of have as an additional option for you guys. So that's the roundup of all the different options that I plan on actually bringing on my next trip. Again, I'm going towards just the total calories in. So let me break down everything that I just mentioned here. Let me break down how I'm going to end up achieving those 3,000 calories per day. And basically I'm going to try to group them into different categories here, right? So I have mostly the meals and then the snacks, and then you got a little bit from that keto collagen mix for the drink. But I'm going to target mostly the meals and the snacks here. So I basically plan on doing 3 squares a day, and I'm going to target somewhere around 700 calories for each one of the meals. That brings me all the way up to 2,100 calories, and then in the ballpark of about 900 calories just from snacking throughout the rest of the day. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to do 450 and 450, 1 in the afternoon and 1 at night. I'm probably going to be snacking throughout my trip when I'm on my backpacking trip, but that's going to be the basic game plan, and I'm going to ration everything out into the individual days here, put them into their own individual bags, and then just hit the trail. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, if you like this video, first of all, please think about giving me the thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed and you want to see how that trip goes, make sure you subscribe down below, and make sure you hit that bell notification so that you can be aware every single time I post a new video. That's going to do it for me on this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching this week, and remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll see you on the next one, which is the old adage, or calorically based insights into what my trip is going to be. Scratch that last, it didn't make any sense at all. Hey, you all notice my new sticker board up here in the corner? Let me swing you around, show you what I mean. Here are some of the new additions. Thanks guys for all of the cool stickers, and apologies right away for my buddy Jared and his channel Outside Comfort Zone. I don't know where they went, man. I lost them.